You guys are freaking amazing. At the end of my last video, I requested that my subscribers leave me a comment and let me know what they were curious about. I was just looking for some direction, some ideas, and I wanted to know what you were looking for. And I'm really happy and surprised at how many of you responded. Many of the topics brought up here in my comments and questions are ones that I was already considering making a video about or even working on, but I will be sure to touch on them today. However, I feel the need to mention that when I first considered making these videos, I was very hesitant and slightly nervous. I mean, I'm not the prettiest, and I'm not the smartest, and we all know that trolls are out there with nothing better to do with their lives, and I just don't have time for that kindergarten shit. But you all not just surprised me, you did seriously touched my heart. I also feel a need to set the record straight that I am only human. I make mistakes, I stumble over words, and I may be off in some of the data. At no point am I proclaiming to be a professional of how Germany works. I'm doing my best here, I really am. But in addition to a lot of the other health issues I have mentioned in some of my other videos, I do have moments of forgetfulness and even confusion. It's embarrassing to say, but I'm throwing it out there. So I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate you helping me get the data and the facts straight when I maybe get off a little bit or am completely wrong. I appreciate it. And I hope you do continue to tell me what you're curious about and what you want to see a video about. I've got a big list of things I wish to speak about, and when one of you pipes up and says, hey, I want to know about this, it says to me, okay, this is a good idea. With all of that said, let's get to your comments and questions. Here's the first question from Wesley McCoy. What do Germans think about Donald Trump? Well, Wesley, I cannot answer for all Germans. I can only speak on what I encounter on a day-to-day basis living amongst the Germans. And I would have to say that since he was elected, pretty much like I answered you in a comment there, mostly ridicule and horror. Lots of jokes can be heard making fun of him, but I get a lot of questions like, what the is he doing, and why did the people elect him, and a lot of other things I can't answer. So yeah, basically to sum it up, since he's been elected, my day-to-day contact with Germans, I personally have not met any German that thinks Donald Trump is great or making America great again. They could be out there, but I haven't met them. Pretty much it's a bad joke and a horror story at the same time. If you assume the white boys are bullying the black girl because of her color without any evidence, haven't you been the racist in that situation? Asks blah blah, totally this person's real name. Well, I admitted that in my head I was having possibly prejudiced thoughts. I did admit that. I am only human, as I stated at the beginning of this video, regardless of what other people say. Important is that when I realize I have any kind of a thought like that, I don't immediately act on it. I ask more questions and learn more about my situation. Moving on. Here's a guy commenting on Germany's general law, Bundesgesetz. I recently started looking into this and ended up reading all about German basic rights. Again, I was impressed, so there's definitely going to be a video coming where I touch on the basic laws of Germany. And I think it explains a lot of how this place works. But that's stuff that's really over my head, so give me time. Bento, Z-O-Z, asks or says, just to clarify, in German schools, a 5 is equivalent to an E in the US, a 6 would be an F? Well, first off, I thought that in Germany you guys did 1 to 5. Now, in America, we do A, B, C, D, F. Why there is no E? I cannot give you an answer for that. I don't know. And I've had this conversation a couple times. I don't know, but we do, like, you can get an A or an A minus or an A plus, a B, B minus, B plus, and so on and so forth. But for some reason, no, the E does not exist in the grading system in American schools. Reconquista Germania asks, was the ashtray on the desk in this office clean or filled with paper clips? If yes, it's a common trophy like a picture of his wife, and yes, I am a smoker. Dude, it was not only used. I would say the moment I entered that building, I could smell that people were smoking in there, and that office smelled like smoke. Just surprised me. Somebody just commented with a 6. So I answered 6. Hertig Heinz says Dusseldorf at a 6. Oh, this is where I was talking the city ratings. And he says, WTF. I was so glad when I could move out of Dusseldorf after 3 months living there. People were entitled and snobby? Really? Siegburg, on the other hand, was great. I don't know Siegburg, but I know Dusseldorf. I did not have that same experience, although I did find it a little expensive. People there were pretty nice to me, but again, I didn't live in it. You did. Interesting. The rating surprised me as well. I don't put Dusseldorf up that high either. No offense to anybody in Dusseldorf. Yeah. Oh, Hertig Heinz asked also if I had a stroke and if I came to Germany for the medical treatment, or did it happen when you were in Germany and you're just glad not to be financially ruined? Hertig Heinz, I am indeed glad to not be financially ruined simply because I had the bad luck of getting a brain tumor. I did not have a stroke, but you are not the first. You're not even the 5th person to ask me that. I had an acoustic neuroma, also known as vestibular schwannoma. There's other videos on it. It's a tumor back here that grew around all of my facial nerves and blah, blah, blah. I'm really thankful for the treatment I got here, and I made the video about the costs because I was really shocked. And I mean, it's just kind of, it was a crazy thing to really think of if I was still living in America, if I never made the move here, like what kind of debts I was going to have incurred because of this. This effed up my life quite a bit. Words cannot express how thankful I am for all of the treatment I have received and still will receive here. And yeah, how thankful I am to not be financially ruined, as you so eloquently put. Ka says, as you might be aware, gendering and the C/do addressing is a big issue for Germans. What do you think about the topic? Does language make, or is there a difference concerning respect and so on? I will indeed be making a video about not just the do/see situation, but also the der, die, and das, or as I like to put it, the, one word. It gets very, very complicated, and see is what you are supposed to use, English you, when you meet somebody and it's a formal situation, or you're strangers. It's a proper way to address somebody, a professional way. And do is more casual, and I found it interesting that quite often here they actually ask permission, dürfen wir duzen. They ask you, like, can I use do? I honestly have, maybe it's a bad habit of trying to go directly to do. I don't seem to have offended too many people by doing that, but quite honestly, when I'm trying to, like, get my point across, do is simpler. I have to, like, I'm already reformulating in 2 languages what I'm verbalizing in the head area, and that's complicated enough, and then I have to, like, switch it up completely if I use do or z because it has an effect on the other words in the sentences. I'm babbling again too much, but there will be a video about this kind of stuff, I promise you, coming. Thank you. Attila de Bag says, as a German, I would say you paint the picture of Germany a bit too nice, at least the positive points. Well, Attila, guilty. I spent 20 some years in sales, and I fall into a habit of, I don't know, speaking a certain way. But at the same time, I'm just getting started here on YouTube. And like I stated earlier in the video, I have a whole list of different things I want to touch on. And I thought it would be a good idea to start with the ones, I guess, like I said before, the ones that really impressed me and surprised me. Don't get me wrong. I have had some bad experiences in Germany with Germans. I've gone through stuff, I've encountered some things, I've found some things odd, and I promise you, those videos are coming, and I hope you all are just as nice to me when I'm brutally honest about my opinions in those situations too. Just saying. Okay, here's some people pointing out poverty is well hidden in Germany, talking about poorer regions. I've been to all those poorer regions. I know the Ruhrgebiet quite well, and I have been east more than a handful of times. All I'm saying, again, I'm just stating my opinion, my view on things based on my life experiences here, is you're poor here. You do have poor here, but they live so much better than the poor where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just comparing where I'm from, where I am, and I had these like wow moments. There's much more available to people that qualify for the unfortunate title of poor in Germany than there are in America, and I respect it, but I do acknowledge that Germany has poor, and I do acknowledge that you have worse areas, or if you want to call them poor areas. But again, my perspective compared to where I'm from, what we would call a poor area, they look a lot worse than what I see here. So Manfred Knaute, forgive me if I pronounce your last name wrong. He says, so incidentally, you thought we live in cages, eat rotten dogs that died in the streets, or what? If the election of Trump didn't show Americans are thick of hell, this video sure does. You told me. Here he clarifies in German, ich habe keinen schlechten Tag, he's not just having a bad day. Ich reg mich nur auf, dass Amerika beansprucht, die gesamte Welt zu belernen, ebenfalls oh my god, he starts talking about atomic weapons. Der Welt. Call me Armstrong, no hugs until the orange baboon is finished off. I just simply made a comment saying, wow, someone needs a hug. So, Manfred apparently... Wow. No, I did not think that you guys lived in cages or ate rotten dogs in the street. What are you talking about, Manfred? And as far as Trump... Okay, you said no hues until the orange baboon is finished off. I'm going to assume you're telling me no hugs until the orange baboon is finished off. And Manfred, that's not good enough for me. I think you need a hug right now. Come on, bro. Put those arms out. Let's just hug this out. I am not Trump, just like you are not Merkel, okay? And you can't say we can't hug until the orange baboon is finished off. That's just not fair. Okay, at Connie's. Hi, Armstrong. Love your videos. Nice to see your channel growing. Not just because it's boosting our Germans' ego, but very enlightening about the U.S. too. You're a very thoughtful person, not the silly American you mentioned. Would you please stop doing that? I am silly. Before Corona, I was a fan of America, you know. That changed during these last months extremely by watching news, reading comments. What does the governance do to its own people? I wish I could answer you at Connie's. I've read comments below about a video you maybe plan about jail situation comparisons is interesting. And then she gives me a link to a video from my research that I did click on and watch and did in fact find it interesting. Hope your messages and thoughts come across the U.S. and people wake up. There's better ways to run a country. Thanks. I hope that my American friends and family do just learn something. It's just, you look at the rest of the Western world. I mean, I'm concentrating on where I'm living now and just comparing to where I'm from. And the fact is, like, I feel like most of the Western world has figured out a better way, let's say, to take care of its people than what America is doing. Out of their own tax money, is what I'm saying. But in regards to you talking about the jail situation comparisons, started doing some research on that. It's a heavy, big, dirty thing. And I've known people in jail in America. I think pretty much everybody in America knows at least one person that was in jail. Yeah, there'll be a video coming on that at some point soon. Thanks. Alex W. says, hey, hope you're fine. You asked things we would like to see. Maybe you could make a video about the food and the grocery shopping in Germany. I've seen quite a few of them, and I would love to know your opinion. And sorry if I spelled something wrong. Totally thought about doing this. One thing I find hilarious is when I go into the supermarkets here and there is something labeled American or American style. Some of it's ridiculous. Like, there was this one store selling these pizzas with hot dogs in crust. This American stuff. And there's a lot of stuff there to make videos on. Give me some time. Mr. 2011er says, I really like your videos, smiley face. I have one question for you. How do you view the two-party system in the U.S. compared to the German system? And as I stated there, this is a good one, and I plan on touching it, but I have to educate myself a little bit more. I have a friend here involved in politics, and I have to sit him down, pick his brain, as well as do a little bit more research online, because I'm kind of blown away and a little overwhelmed by the amount of different parties that you have and how they really function here, what they get done and such. So appreciate your comment, and I hope to bring that video to you soon, but I wouldn't expect it too soon. Much like when I'm looking into the laws and stuff, a lot of this is over my head. I gotta try to put it down to a basic level I can both understand and verbalize, but fascinating stuff there comparing the two. Long story short, the American two-party system is just sad because neither are working for the common man anymore. Elizabeth Kerp says, I would like to know why Americans mix up socialism and social responsibility of the government or even a single human being. Elizabeth Kerp, me too! Me too! My honest opinion, without going too deep here, because this will probably also end up being its own video, I think the propaganda is strong there. There's communism, socialism. Me personally, I have recently taken on a policy of not continuing on it, for example, on Facebook with friends I have in America when anybody starts to bring up a word, socialism or communism. Only because, like, 9 times out of 10, they start talking about these words and they don't really know what it means. They're quoting what CNN or Fox told them. CNN is paid for by the Democratic side of the government. Fox is paid for by the Republican side of the government. That's straight up government propaganda as far as I'm concerned. So it makes me crazy. But in fairness, I didn't know much about these things, and I heard the same propaganda when I lived there, and my brain was broadened a little bit by moving here and conversations, and I'm still learning every day. When I have conversations with friends and family and they start doing that, socialism, communism, I think the easiest way I explained it to people I care about that I felt were misled was I explained to them, these are Americans, I explained to them, you live in a capitalistic democracy. I live in a social democracy. I said, it's not socialism. I said, In a social democracy, the people come first. It's about taking care of the people. And in a capitalistic democracy, money comes first. Big business talks. Bullshit runs the marathon. That's just my way of putting it simplistic, how I view it. Andy Bouletin says, Facile paralysis? Doesn't play any role. Like it. How you see Journey. Nice video. You're very welcome. Stay healthy. Thank you very much. I do have facial paralysis on one side of my face. Grade 3. Here's another German mentioning that their social system is not perfect. It is not perfect. It definitely has flaws. And he goes into some detail about homeless people in Germany. This is worth reading. The homeless people have really touched my heart. I recently worked in an area where I was walking past them every single day, and I grew a friendship with one of sorts. There'll be a video coming up where I dig into this because I was mystified. I started asking questions why I was seeing somebody in such bad shape at the train station every day. And I made the statement that if this was a dog at the train station in the condition that this gentleman is in, somebody would do something. How is this guy falling through the cracks? The answers I got were a mixture of things from all the social services are available there, but you have to go fill out the forms. And then I heard reports that this guy denied help. I even witnessed he goes into these tangents where he starts yelling, swearing, and maybe threatening. But don't we all? Yeah. I'll dig into this topic more. Homeless people concern me and touch me, and I felt like for years I was just a little tap dance away from ending up on that path. So thank you to the Germans here that are clarifying where the social system is not perfect here. It's not perfect anywhere. I mean, if it is perfect somewhere, please leave me a comment and let me know where. But I appreciate you guys clarifying the fine details. I'll touch on this in the future. Leslie Gilpin claims that I'm the first commentator on YouTube that she's heard mention that poverty exists in the USA. Most Americans seem to comment on it elsewhere in the world, but are in self-denial about it at home. Is that true? Am I the first YouTube commentator to mention that poverty exists? I mean, when I spend a lot of time on YouTube not working on my stuff, I watch a lot of documentaries, and if you just put the words poverty in America, there's quite a few informative documentaries on that. But creators not talking about it, I mean, it's not a pretty subject, right? And it's not something to be proud of, right? It's a tough one. And then, I mean, I think you also have a lot of creators that are younger. Maybe they're not really aware of the situation, or maybe they don't live near those situations or haven't been exposed to it. Or maybe it just doesn't fit into their format of what they're doing. I'm just babbling and ranting, like I said, about my life experiences. And my life path took me from one culture to another culture, and I had a lot of things blow my mind. And I'm just babbling about them. Gemma or Gemma Frisur 19 says, I love that you call it like you see it. You seem like a really neat person. I'm a hairstylist from and still in North Texas. Is there any chance I would be able to get my license there and continue my trade in Germany? And can you share with us how to find work there? Keep being the beautifully awesome person you are, and thank you for sharing your story and experiences. Thank you. I looked, and it would seem one of the Germans beat me here and left you a comment in regards to visa and working here. But generally, that's a job you're going to have to learn about 3 years. Frishy Frish says, I hope it's not a personal question. It would be interesting for me to hear a little bit more about how you grew up and also how you spent your first 20 to 30 years in America. Stay healthy and best regards. Thank you, Frishy Fish. I mean, I think you're going to be a little more specific. I'd be happy to do a video like that. Maybe I just need to think on what would be the important details there. I grew up what I would call in a, I thought, lower to middle class sort of neighborhood atmosphere. Um, I'll think on this. And if you have any more specific questions, leave it there in the comment. I'll check back. Swan pride. How about talking the difference in the justice system and how policing here works as opposed to the US? Swan pride. This is one towards the top of my list. I still need to get into more detail on the German side. It's complex and new to me. The American side, as I already mentioned in the comments, when I'm giving my opinion, I'm gonna have to tread lightly here because I have had some life experiences that left a very bad taste in my mouth. Talking about the differences in the justice systems. Oh, I've watched some documentaries. I watched yesterday a documentary on, I think they tried to call it Germany's hardest prison. It was in Aachen, and they showed the inside of it. Such a, we're coming full circle, stark contrast between a German jail and an American jail. And then when you start talking about how the justice system works or how the cops work, so many differences. It's so different. That is definitely got to go to its own video. I am working on that. How soon I will have that done, I don't know. Alan Gian, I'm pronouncing all these names wrong. I'm very sorry, people. He says, "Hi, I'm not sure you'll wish to talk about this highly controversial subject in your country, guns. Dun, dun, dun. Some people think they must have one to feel safe. However, world statistics show that crime rate is much higher in the USA than in most European countries. I've often read the answer," he continues. "There's no problem about guns, only about people misusing them. However, this would suggest that there are many more mad people in the USA." I think you're referring to the slogan they'll use sometimes, "Guns don't kill people, people kill people." But he says, "However, this would suggest that many more mad people in the USA, which cannot be true, of course." Yeah, right. Well, getting mad with a knife or getting mad with a gun, that makes a difference, doesn't it? Indeed, it does. And indeed, I am going to have to make a video where I talk about guns. Honestly, that has been one thing when I formed relationships here in Germany with Germans. I would find that is one thing they're really curious about, and many were surprised when I would inform them that I grew up with access to an arsenal. Like I'm telling you, the amount of weapons that my father possessed, I could fill this room, and it'd be difficult for us to make a path to walk through them. I was raised... See, I'm going to go too deep into this here. But yeah, I was raised around guns, and I was raised by someone that totally felt strongly about the Second Amendment and was even an NRA supporter. My opinions on guns, I think, are sort of interesting, but I'm going to save that for a full video. I'll tell you this, I mean, what I think should be obvious with the stuff that you guys have heard me tell you thus far. I am really thankful to be here and for the fact that it's rare that there's gun violence here. It is rare. And as a mother, I'm even more thankful that school shootings are not a constant here and are rare. I am thankful. So, Alien Nidion, stay tuned. I will make a video where I go in a little deeper to my opinions on the guns, my experience with them growing up, and how some of my opinions, some, not all, I feel like I need to explain some things. I have some opinions on why some Americans may have a valid reason for wanting to keep their right to own a weapon. And I will touch on all of these things in a video about that. So I appreciate y'all telling me you're interested in that. Again, gives me direction, confirms, okay, I need to work on that and get that video made. I feel like guns, justice system, the jails, the cops, these are going to be hard ones for me to work on, but I will. Bang the Basie. Sorry for really injecting my opinion here. This is a really interesting question as well. And he goes into a really long message here. Sums it up at the end. The American rags to riches dream can actually be measured in a value called social mobility. It measures the rates at which people move up and down the societal layers compared to their parent generations. This is interesting. And while the U.S. coined the term the American dream, today the American dream is much better realized in Central and Northern European countries where free healthcare and education lead to much higher social mobility than what the U.S. sees. Okay, I want to make sure I'm not missing your direct question here. I think at the top, you said you don't know how Americans view their own history when it comes to this question, but it seems like it's more of a statement. And from what I'm scanning, reading here, I have to agree with your view here in this last paragraph. What was your name again? Bang the Basie. I'm not much of a history buff, so I don't have much of an opinion on the historical points that you made there. You say a lot of things that seem valid. I like how you end your long message with "K bye." You're cute. Niklaus and Ruprecht said, "Why did I subscribe? I am curious who you are. I am a subscriber of various YouTube channels where American immigrants vlog about their lives in Germany. But they are people who go to university or who at least the age before you settle down with a family." Yeah, I've noticed that too. I first watched your video when you showed photographs of your home and neighborhood in America. And in your video today, I learned that you moved with your, at the time, 7-year-old son to Germany. That's pretty impressive. Thank you. I mean, there are lots of people coming to Germany. However, in most cases, it's obvious that they are leaving behind a country that is devastated by war. But grabbing your child, moving from one first world country to another first world country, that is more unusual. So what job do you have? And of course, what sports do you do? And for the future, okay, that's 3 questions. I feel that you might talk about more than just who different countries compare. From what I heard so far, you could share thoughts on your views of life in general. What are the things that keep you moving, not from place to place, but from task to task in life? Okay, Niklaus and Ruprecht. Yeah, my son was 7 years old when I brought him to Germany. I was not running from a war, Isabel. So my job is still in sales. I pretty much usually always go back to working in sales. And you also asked, what sports do I do? Well, these days, anytime I try to do anything, usually within 10 to 15 minutes, I feel at least slightly dizzy and get a headache. That includes even when I speak passionately and such. It's very frustrating. But when I am feeling good, I love to just walk. No kind of like power walking or anything. I love to just walk, and I will cover as much territory as possible. I enjoy going hiking into like forests and such. I like nature. And I want to say I love riding my bike. I mentioned before that I spend a lot of time riding my bike around Germany, and I think it's been more than a year now since I got on a bike because of the issues I'm having. I should probably try that again soon. I did do it after my operation, but it didn't feel safe. So yeah, I would say if I do sports, it's walking or riding my bike. And for the future, talk about the different countries. I would like to get into talking about the different countries. I saw so much interesting stuff traveling around Europe. I just need to figure out how I'm going to put that into a video topic and such. So I will could compare them. I guess I could compare them. I think I would be more just making observations, because I hit a lot of countries, you know, once or twice, but it was only for a short period there. So I only got like a sneak peek at some of these countries, if you will. Share my thoughts on views of my life in general. Do people really want to know my views on life in general? I don't know. I am a weirdo. Maybe. What are things that keep you moving, not from place to place, but from task to task in life? Coffee. And as this video gets longer, smoothies. My son. I have to make lists. Lists motivate me. I lose hope and freeze sometimes. And if I find that I'm having a hard time being motivated in the way of task to task in daily life, I find a list very helpful. I think I mentioned earlier that I can be forgetful, so lists are very important in my daily life. But I also find in times when life is not so nice or difficult, lists motivate me, and they give me some sort of feeling like I completed something when I check them off. If I'm going to get deeper than that with you, that might have to be a video on its own. Sylvia Roge, or Sylvia Roge, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, asked, hat der Tumor oder die Operation zu dem Schädigung des linken Hirnnerv geführt? Entschuldigung für diese Frage, ich stelle mir diese jedoch schon seit einiger Ihrer Videos. Sylvia, thank you for all of your questions and information that you left here. Wrong or right, you make me a little flattered that anybody would take the time in their free time to try to figure out some of my issues. I'm curious if you're a doctor or studying to work in that area, because I am still seeking issues to some of my problems. We've exchanged a few comments here, and I need to go back and I think read the last messages that you sent me and go to some of the links. But I really appreciate somebody showing interest. I've been feeling like doctors aren't really interested in talking to me anymore. I had a tumor, and that's why I have issues, rather than like talking to me about each of the issues and can we correct any of them. They've been saying in time, we see in time. It's been 3 years now. What I'm getting at is not just Sylvia, but a couple of you have commented in regards to my journey to try to feel normal again since having this tumor, which has meant a lot of various appointments with doctors and tests and such. And every single one of you that have given me a name of a clinic to check out, or a doctor, or anything in regards to that topic, I am thankful for. Dirk Hackenberg says, tell us your opinion about free speech in Germany versus the USA. Well, Americans love to proudly boast about their freedom of speech, and I would say it's generally there. The thing is, where I start to question it is when you see, for example, like the news, rather than giving the folks actual data, facts, just news, when you see that the news starts getting more skewed to spew a political view and try to lean people one way or the other, or actually pit the people against each other, that's where I start to question how much there really is like free speech, or is it sometimes being, you know, muted a little bit. I don't know too much, honestly, about the logistics of free speech in Germany. I I don't feel like I have any less freedom in my speech living here. Just saying, me personally, what I've experienced. I've noticed, for example, some Americans were surprised when I told them that the swastika, the symbol of the swastika, is forbidden here. And at the same time, I have met Germans that were really shocked when they found out that we have people in America that openly walk in the streets with swastikas on them. Um, that's the only thing I can think of in regards to Germany and free speech where I could say something about it, that I noticed that, just to be clear on that, I have no problem with the swastika being forbidden here. I don't feel like any of my freedoms are taken away with that being forbidden. I think I would have to think about this. Free speech, Germany versus the USA. I'd have to think about it and do a little bit more research on what it means in Germany, how they define free speech and their laws in regards to it. I think I mentioned earlier, I started looking into German basic laws and basic rights and such, so this will come up again. Thanks. So Fertz Beitel says, hello Armstrong, not a subscriber yet. I wonder how your son got along with the move to Germany. Does he make the same observations as you do? My son, I think, fared pretty well through the move and the culture shock and all of the changes. He spoke German within like the first 3 to 6 months, and within a year spoke with the local accent and had the dialect. I was much slower than him. Does he make the same observations as me? Yes and no. On some things, yes, and on some things, he is opposite world as me. I have actually asked him if he would want to do a video with me, maybe like an interview or something like that. So hopefully I can touch on that again. He's younger than me, so of course we view things in different ways and have opinions on different things. And we also spent a different amount of time in America, so that would also explain why our views on what America is or how it is are a little bit different. So yeah, no, he is not exactly like me in a lot of ways. Mom's crazy. But you go on. I also think you are a good observer of what is going on here, and you know how to appreciate the system and the values we have here. You appreciate them way more than many of us Germans do. Most of us are always complaining about this, and they are not aware, but glad we are to live nowadays in such a well-off society. This is something me and a lot of my foreigner friends have noticed, that a lot of Germans seem to be eternally unhappy, or as if like the system's just not good enough. And I found it really interesting that one German friend explained to me, of course it's not good enough. If we thought it was good enough, then we couldn't make it better. And he was like, why do you think it's so good now? Because that's behind it. I don't know. I don't know. People got a right to complain. They complain a lot in the region I'm from as well, in America. I mean, where I'm from, we're big complainers as well. Chino's 68. Chino, you leave me a lot of nice messages. Thank you. I like you. Love to hear you labern. You are a good storyteller, not a dish. Teller, dish. I see what you did there. Maybe you should tell us something in America that you miss and don't find here in Germany. Something else I have question for you, the word gönnen in English. I can't think of the one that expresses the same meaning in English. Stay real. Chino, gönnen. I've had a lot of Germans say stuff like, gönnt ihr das? And I always took it as like I should do that for myself, because it would be like doing something nice for myself, spoiling myself, essentially. Gönnen. That's pretty much what I left you a comment saying. Something in America that I miss and I don't find here in Germany. Honestly, for a while, it was neighbors. I really missed the nice and friendly neighbors I had in America, and the relationships I had with them there. And when I came to Germany, I found just the neighbor dynamic was a little different. And also, I spent a lot of years where I was traveling a lot, so there wasn't really time to establish relationships. At the same time, I had at least two different apartments I can think of before I found where I am now, where my neighbors went out of the way to like not even make eye contact. So, like, forget what I had, for example, back in America, where they'd come over, drink a beer around a campfire with me. But now, for 1 year, I have been in a new place, and I really hope I can stay here forever. And I love the people in my building, literally from the bottom floor to the top floor. So that would be one thing I missed about America. But I found it here. I found my hood. I found my people. Um, Everything else, like American crap, you can order online. Pop-Tarts are my thing if you want to know something stupid. It's a horrible, not good for you American breakfast treat. You stick them in the toaster, and I can get them here, like the bigger supermarkets, like Real, Reve, they have them, but the price they want for them is obscene. I will not pay €6 for a box of Pop-Tarts, but I freaking love those things. And now that I'm saying that, so if I had to pick like a product or something I miss from America that I can't get here, junk food. I planned on making a video about this because I'm really frustrated by paprika flavor. Why do you love this paprika flavor so much, and why is it the one flavor you see everywhere, and why don't you just call it barbecue like the rest of the world? Snacks. I'm American. Herbert Erdferkel, best name ever, brings up something here. Kleingarten Spenden asks if we have something similar in America. I think we do. I'm trying to think of the word. I've heard in some of like our bigger cities of people getting together and making like a community garden where they can all grow and tend to it and eat the vegetables and such. Seems to be done on a broader scale here in Germany. This really seems to be something that's all over the place here, where there's like a community garden. In this same comment, we went into other comments where I mentioned when I lived in the South and my child was young, I was surprised to find out the school had a school garden that the kids tended to. And I think that food was actually donated to like places that fed homeless people. So yeah, do we have something similar in America? I think you will find similar programs. There's a freaking word for it, and I can't think of it right now, what it's called. Maybe like a co-op garden? But yeah, I found that pretty cool here in Germany too. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. About all the gardens and bungalows. And also when I lived, speaking of gardens and such, I found it interesting that I ended up, when I was married, I had a garden space. So like the people in this village would buy a plot of land where they grow their own gardens and such. I'm into all of that. I guess I could make a whole video about that as well. I'd like to look in a little deeper and see how it really does work here. I only learned a little bit through my son and just through what I've seen in my travels. I never really looked into how it works or if it's like government funded and stuff like that. Interesting stuff. Michael or Michael, that name always confuses me from English to German. We say Michael, you guys say Michael. McAllister says, "Oh my, 7 weeks in self-isolation and home office, and I just got blown a kiss. I am so excited. How desperate must I be?" You are not desperate, Michael. That kiss was for you, and I'm glad you caught it. He says, dumb people. There are plenty of uneducated dumb people in Germany. Most of them are smart enough to keep their mouths shut in front of smart people, though. Look, I mean, everywhere you will find dumb people. At the same point, I need to say, everywhere you will go, you can also find jerks. You know, the world is full of it. I was like commenting on, I'll put it this way. I feel like I meet a lot of really well-educated people here. When I make that statement, I am not saying you have no dumb people. Look, people, if I haven't said it enough, I have worked in sales for more than 20 years. What, like about 10 of those I have spent selling in Europe, but mostly Germany. I have tended to the German customer in different corners of this land. So when you do a job like that, and you're someone like me that has been exposed to thousands of people, trust me, I know there are dumb people out there. And I don't think it's a bad thing for me to admit that sometimes I felt like the dumb person. So yeah, I know. There's dumb people here. There's dumb people everywhere. But these are all just our opinions. And aren't there just like different levels of smart and dumb? I mean, I've met people with degrees, college educated, what people would call on paper because of an IQ number or such smart, but they were some of the most socially inept humans I ever met. Like they couldn't talk to strangers and read their body language and understand how to communicate back without offending. That exists well. I think we all just gotta do what we're good at, you know? And let's try to stay away from insulting people. We're gonna do it anyway, but let's just try to stay away from it. Isabel, I think I got all the questions here. I'm scrolling and looking, and I feel provoked to say thank you again to all of the people adding their knowledge of adding on to the topics I was talking about, their own knowledge about these topics. Everything from standard of living to nerd is king, smoking, healthy, fresh, and local foods. I like hearing your guys' opinions. Isabel doesn't like it so much, but she's got a bit of an attitude. Welcome to all the Scandinavians that recently found me. And shout out to all of the people that love Entombed. I mean, if the topics I'm touching on interest you, it's worth it to read into my comments. It seems like so far I've been pretty lucky, and the majority of people leaving comments on my videos are helpful, decent folks with information to share, and I like that. I like that. I'm gonna get things wrong. I'm not from here, and as I stated at the beginning of the video, I'm dealing with some health issues that can have an effect on anything from me like forgetting something, or maybe because I'm getting a headache I stop and then I go back to it, I forget something. Things are gonna happen. I'm totally welcoming you guys to continue with adding data on. My friends and family in America do check this stuff, and I love that they're getting even more information on these topics that I picked out. And in the future, I look forward to hearing any of your specific requests. I won't make a blank promise to cover everything. So yeah, I like hearing from you guys. I really appreciate all of the support recently. I feel like I have a lot to work off of here. I am going to take all of your comments, suggestions, requests, and questions, and I am going to compare them to my own lists and ideas, and I am going to make updates, and I am going to touch on a lot of these topics that a lot of you brought up here. So thanks. You've given me more work to do. Big thank you to all of my subscribers. I don't know where all of you new ones came from, but thank you. I am, again, shocked and awed by you people. So, after making this video, I realize I now really do have work to do. I have some things I need to research. I have some things I need to work on. But once again, I really appreciate all of you. And I will be coming at you soon with a new video, and I think I need to really get my act together and maybe make a schedule and announce a schedule. So hopefully I will get my act together and do that soon. But until then, take care of yourself.